Canadian Fight Show, episode 10. Welcome back, fight fans. UFC 270 concluded last weekend. Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane headlined for the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the World. We're here to talk about it. This is the review show, as usual. I'm one half of your co-host, reporting live from Calgary, Alberta, Alex DeSalles, with my handsome co-host, Kyle Allen. How we doing, brother?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just getting over the excitement of Saturday night's fights and what we're about to talk to. I couldn't wait to get on here and discuss this with you. And yeah, I'm pumped up.
Me too. Lots of fights to talk about, some controversy to talk about, which we love. It always makes for a good debate. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Give me your initial thoughts on the card, though.
I thought the card overall was really good. I think all the fights, the UFC, I think, has just been on a hot streak recently. Like a lot of these fights have been really good. Even on paper, maybe the card doesn't. Obviously, this one on paper looked really good, but they've just been hitting on all cylinders with all the fights that they've been putting out lately. Even the fight nights, the UFC, like dating back probably at least like 2 months, all the cards have been like pretty solid.
Oh, I know. No kidding. We have been spoiled, and especially to start the year, too. Lots of action in this one. But without further ado, we're going to do things a little bit different on this episode. We're going to start from the top and make our way to the bottom, unlike before. So without further ado, let's get into the big boys. Francis Ngannou, his first title defense against former training partner. We love the stories on Great Canadian Fight Show. Former training partner Cyril Gane, couple French guys going at it. Ngannou pulls it out by a decision, unanimous decision. Very, very controversial, in my opinion. But you had Ngannou, so Kyle, take me through this, the main event, UFC 270.
Yeah, Francis Ngannou. I don't think many people would have guessed this fight went the way it did. You were looking. I know I was looking for him to just go for the knockout early and get him out of there, but Cyril played a good fight in the first two rounds, kind of staying on the outside, picking him apart. But then the surprise of the night was the wrestling of Francis Ngannou. I know he had Usman in his corner, so maybe he got some tips from Usman, but his wrestling compared to when he fought Stipe 4 years ago, man, he looked impressive with the wrestling and how strong he was, because Cyril Gane is no lightweight, so he was throw him around and slam him and almost do what he wanted with them. So it was definitely not what people expected, for sure.
No, that's 100% sure. But here's what I have to say about it. I think we had an old-fashioned robbery on our hand, Kyle. So cue the music, baby. Let's hear it. We got ourselves an old-fashioned robbery, and man, I mean, one thing I'm going to start by saying this: serious fight fans, it's very important to rewatch a fight, because sometimes what you see in the moment, you got the emotion, you got a couple beers flowing in you, you're in it. Sometimes it's easy to get swayed by what happens in the moment. By rewatching it the next day, you really notice things that you wouldn't have before. And for the main and co-main, my view of the fight completely changed. Like, couldn't get more of a 180. I thought Gane was robbed in this fight, and here's why. He outlanded Ngannou on significant strikes. He outlanded Ngannou on total strikes. He had more submission attempts than Ngannou, 2-0, and he was way more efficient with his striking throughout the whole fight. I mean, again, we're going to get into it further in this podcast, the importance towards, ground control and striking. But my gosh, I mean, when you're just laying on a guy, it's hard to say that you want to fight. And, if you want to give Ngannou 3, 4, and 5 and say that it's 3-2 Ngannou, like, what damage was done in that fifth round? What damage was done in the fourth round? So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? What did you think of the final scoring?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to rewatch it, but yeah, I definitely rewatching a fight the second time, you get a way different view on how things went. especially when you make picks on the fights and you're maybe a little bit biased towards some of the fighters. Um, but yeah, watching it the first time, I thought just the control of Ngannou and the takedowns won him the fight. But then you can really get into an argument of how much do you value a takedown opposed to striking? Because Gane was definitely piecing him up in the first two rounds, some
Oh,
of the third
totally.
round until he took over and started wrestling in him. So it seems like more the judges value takedowns over strikes. So again, it really just depends how you score things and how you value takedowns or striking. It just seems like the takedowns were more. I know he wasn't doing much on the bottom, but he was still controlling him the whole fight. Gon really couldn't get up a lot of the times, but he did go for submission. So it really comes down to how you rate the wrestling versus striking.
See, it's funny you say that because and we're gonna get into the co-main, so I won't touch on it too much. But in that fight, I mean, it seems like a couple of those Moreno takedowns were almost disregarded by the refs in exchange for the Figueiredo knockdowns, which
Yeah,
seemed to have a lot of weight in that fight. So
yeah,
what's your take on like the inconsistency there and like with the refs? Like,
yeah.
you see that changing in the near future? Or?
Uh, I would love to see them just have a more consistent way to score the fights. So you know the value of each thing, how much striking is, how much takedowns are, how much ground control is. But they just don't have that, and it just depends. Seems like it depends on the judge of which is worth more. Um, and then yeah, I get your point about like the knockdowns. I feel like they value knockdowns way more than like output. So it's complicated, but I don't know if they have a way of fixing it and making it less biased towards a certain situation.
Well, I think live judging would be one way to fix it, but I don't see them ever doing that. It would just be way too
Yeah,
anti-traditional, I think, for them.
yeah.
But a lot of people were making the comparison. Actually, well, not a lot of people. Francis Ngannou was making the comparison. He was comparing this fight to his first fight against Miocic. I listened to an interview earlier. He said he felt Gon quit somewhere in that fourth round when he
Mm.
had him down. He felt Gon quit, similar to how he felt against Stipe Miocic. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a semi-equal comparison to make?
Um, I don't know if it's as comparable to that fight because Francis was so inexperienced in that fight, and Gon is he's been around the block for a while. But yeah, I definitely think it took a lot of steam out of him, and when he was just getting taken down over and over, he knew there wasn't a whole lot he can do unless he was able to keep it on his feet, but he wasn't able to. So it definitely took some steam out of him. I don't know if he gave up completely, but because he was still going for he went for that heel hook. And I watched something interesting earlier, and people were saying that that heel hook that he went for kind of decided his fate. Like if he didn't go for that heel hook and he would have got the reversal and got on top, that could have won him the fight. So that might have been the deciding factor right there.
Totally agree because he's the one who took Gano down in the fifth
Yeah.
round, and he gave up position to go for a heel hook
Yeah.
in the fifth round when he could have won it.
Yeah.
But well, before we move on, maybe to final thoughts, there's something that I need to address, and I want to get your opinion on it. One of the judges um, scored this fight 49-46 for Gano. Now, I think we can both agree that that's a absolutely ludicrous scorecard. But if you look back in history, you see a lot of fights where maybe it didn't seem like it went the right way. Maybe you dare I say some robberies. And that 49-46 is kind of a reoccurring scorecard that keeps coming up. What do you think is the deal here? Like, do you think there's any kind of slight chance that these might be pre-written, and that there's some kind of that there's some kind of greasy stuff going on here behind the scene at the UFC? What do you think? Because there's a
Uh,
trend. Like I just gotta say the John Jones versus Reyes fight. I don't know if you remember it from February
mm,
2020. I think.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, a lot of people had Reyes winning that fight, and a 49-46 scorecard for Jones appeared on one of the three score sheets.
yeah.
So
To be honest, that fight was kind of similar to this fight. Like I had Jones winning that fight. I think 3 rounds to two, but it was a really close fight. But this fight was the same. I didn't have Ngannou any more than 3 rounds to two. I don't see how you can give him any more than 3 rounds to two. Like, I'm not sure what that guy was watching, but
it's
yeah,
tough, man.
yeah. I don't know how you feel about. I know there's been talk about like what do they call, like after the round they show what they gave that round, like kind of like a live scorecard. I feel like that's kind of an interesting idea, and like it would kind of force the judges to like, because once they see that score, the crowd's going to go like bananas if they see like like say they gave, say in the first round they gave Francis like a 10-8, like that'd be ridiculous, and it might make the crowd go up in arms. So I think that's an interesting idea.
Absolutely. I mean, it'd be amazing. Imagine it, and the crowd was so pro Moreno, on
Yeah,
the weekend. Imagine if he goes out and gets a 10-8, like you said in the first round. The
yeah,
place goes ape shit. Like I think it would. I think it's just a whole other element that they'd be adding, and then you got fighters knowingly going into the third, knowing that they're down,
yeah,
having to go for it. They're going for broke.
yeah,
You don't get this traditional thing where the fight ends and both the fighters put their arms up like they won and parade around the ring
yeah, yeah.
like in every boxing fight I've seen in the last little while.
Or I don't know if
Like you
they
got a
could.
winner and a loser at the end, a
I
clear
don't know if
winner
they.
or a loser.
I don't know if they could do like a. It'd be cool if they did like a universal scorecard. Like somehow, like you get like 50 judges, and they all score the fight, and then you go with like the average or whatever. That'd be also a cool idea. I just think 3 judges is like, because one judge can just screw up and it sways the whole thing. But if you had like 50 judges and say like out of 50 judges, who there's definitely gonna be people that are gonna screw up, but you might only get like 2 or 3 guys out of 50 that screw up, and you're gonna get a pretty accurate scorecard, I think, with more judges.
I
Maybe not
agree.
50. 50 might be excessive, but maybe like 10.
Yeah, you're right. Because even if you get 7 out of 10, that really
Yeah.
you know, watch the fight.
Yeah. Like there's a good saying. I think it's like if you go to a party of 10 people, there's gonna be like at least one asshole. It's the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Very good analogy. Always one asshole at a party. It's math, people. It's math. But okay. So any before we move on to the co-main event, any final thoughts on Gnu retaining his title against his old sparring mate, and maybe what might be next for him?
Yeah, so it's definitely an interesting story going to go forward with his contract negotiations and what's going to happen there. He looks like he wants more money, and he's not willing to like looks like he's willing to sit out the whole year without negotiating if they don't negotiate the correct price. Maybe he'll try to go on the boxing side, go fight Tyson Fury, which I don't really want to see that fight, but I definitely would way rather see the John Jones versus him fight. I think that's a very interesting matchup. Um, I can't see how John Jones would come in heavier or stronger than Ngannou. You never know. He's taken a lot of time off, but that's definitely a fight I want to see. Um, so it's hard to say. I guess it's really up to Francis what he decides to do. And for Gain, there's still a ton of matchups. Like think of Francis 4 years ago when he fought Stipe, and see where he's at now. Like he has so much potential to grow, to be better. Stipe, I think, is the fight to make for him. Both coming off losses, both to Ngannou, make them fight for kind of the number one contender after Ngannou and Jones fight, possibly.
I'd love to see it. Hopefully, Stipe blesses us with his presence in the ring again, and we miss you, Stipe. We miss you, man. Come on back, regain your throne. Come on.
Yeah, you can never count Stipe out. I think he still has a lot in the tank, and
Oh, I agree.
he's 1 win away from the title.
Yeah, no, I agree. You don't understand what he's saying half the time, but when he fights, he's 1 win away from the title. That's for sure. So, Francis Ngannou wins via unanimous decision. 49-46. Shame on you for putting that scorecard. That's awful. That's that's awful. But congratulations to Ngannou. Big win. I mean, there was a lot of rumors that he had a knee. Actually, not well. It seems like it's accurate that he had a knee injury,
Mm.
and it looked pretty bad. So kudos to him for coming in, grappling, and getting it done against a really tough Cyril Gane. So congratulations to him. Let's move on to our co-main event of the evening, the much-awaited trilogy fight for the men's flyweight championship. Davison Figueiredo coming in, trying to regain his title against Brandon Moreno, the baby assassin. This fight was very, very hyped. It ended up being a very good technical fight. I mean, of course, it was never going to live up to the first one, but still a very, very good fight. I was happy with it. I mean, I would have liked to see Moreno maybe do a little bit more, and same with Figueiredo, to be totally honest. I don't think either of them really went out and really took it. But Figueiredo wins via unanimous decision, well deserving still. Kyle Allen, take me through your thoughts on this co-main event of the evening.
Yeah, this fight was I feel like it lived up to the hype. Like again, like you said, it wasn't as good as the first fight, but
Sure.
I didn't fully agree with the decision. I see how they gave it to Figueredo, but I thought Moreno won this fight.
Hmm.
Again, like you would have to rewatch it and really go through it, but I thought Moreno did enough to kind of edge it out on him. But I guess they value those knockdowns quite a bit near the end of the fight where Figueredo knocked it down. I think he knocked it down twice, right?
He did knock him down twice. Yeah.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
also Moreno hurt him in the beginning of the fight, like I think once or twice. Didn't knock him down, but again, it goes back to just kind of late round bias, kind of, and I feel like they maybe kind of took away from the first couple of rounds where he won. I almost feel like when in a fight like this, you're almost better off winning the last 3 rounds than the first 3 rounds because they value that more. But I don't think it was a bad call giving it to Figueredo, but I'm very intrigued to see the fourth because basically this is kind of like the third. This if they fight again, it'd be kind of like the third technically
Technically, yeah. It's 1-1, right?
in my
And
opinion.
Figueiredo in the post-fight interview comes out and says he wants to fight him in Mexico.
That'd be sick.
We're down. Living la vida loca. Let's do it. Sign me up.
Buying my plane.
Mexico.
I'm buying my plane tickets tomorrow.
Let's do it. Cancun, baby. Cancun. Oh, that would be awesome. I mean, sign me up. But take me back. I'll go back to your point because I had Figason Figueredo. I had Davison Figueredo winning this fight. And I good thing about being in isolation here. I came prepared. I had plenty of time to rewatch these fights, and man, I thought the decision was absolutely perfect. I saw Davison Figueredo won 3 rounds to 2. I thought he won. Well, he definitely won round 5 because he had the big knockdown. Definitely won round 3 because he had the huge knockdown, and it was, maybe give the Moreno the slight advantage on the feet, but then he had a huge knockdown to finish the round. Moreno saved by the bell in round 3, and then I think in round 1. I mean, round 1, you go back. If you look at the significant strikes, it was advantage Davison Figueredo.
Hmm.
I mean, he wasn't throwing as much, but when he did, he landed. He made more damage. I thought this was a great call by the judges. They got it right this time. I was very pleased.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. Yeah, yeah, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at it. I know it wasn't my pick, but I like that it leads up to like a very solid, real trilogy if they're gonna fight again, which I hope they do soon.
Absolutely, because nobody really took it. Both guys were tentative. It shows that they really know each other.
Yeah.
Take me through kind of like, I mean, of course, cat's out of the bag. Neither of us are fighters, but we're big fans, and we've kind of seen trilogies build over the year. Like,
Mhm.
what do you think goes through the fighter's mind when they're going into the ring or the octagon for the third time fighting a guy? Potentially, you've already gone 10 rounds against each other
Mhm.
or more in this case. What do you think kind of goes through? Like, what do you think kind of goes through the fighter's mind? Like, do you change your game plan, or do you? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I guess you have to look back at like the previous fights and see what the other fighter did, and you almost just have to anticipate that they're gonna make changes. So then you have to make changes according to their future changes. And I think Figueiredo did a pretty good job in this one, making quite a few changes. Just the shape he came in this one, you could tell he knew that the last fight he kind of ran out of gas, and that's probably
Totally.
what ended him the last fight. So he kind of made that change. Moreno seems like he didn't make too many changes. I think he came in pretty confident and he did good the whole fight. So I think it's going to be up to Moreno to make the proper adjustments for their next fight. But this fight is very Volkanovski and Max Holloway ish, that kind of outcome, and it's just unfinished business. Even though they've fought 3 times already, it's unfinished business.
Oh, totally agree. Totally agree. What was your opinion on Figueiredo bringing in Cejudo, previous champion, to help him with his training camp? Did you see some differences in his fighting style this time around?
I think the conditioning was his main difference. I know at Henry Cejudo's camp they do a lot of like that kind of unorthodox conditioning and and that kind of stuff. So I think that was the main thing that came out of this fight was his conditioning was better for sure. And Cejudo has a crazy gas tank. Like if you watch any of Henry Cejudo's fights, he never runs out of gas. He's always pedal to the metal. And even in the beginning of the first round when Figueiredo came out, he came out very like Henry Cejudo stance with kind of with his hands up and like just like
Oh,
Henry Cejudo came out against Dominic Cruz.
absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very reminiscent of that. One last question, I guess, before we move on. How soon potentially do you see this fight getting turned around? This
Um,
fourth fight.
I mean, they both didn't take like they took damage for sure, but like not like crazy amount of damage, not like John Whaley versus Young Jacek, not like that kind of damage. But
Yeah.
I would love to see them run this back like maybe like September-ish, like somewhere around there, just after summers.
Wow.
This year for sure, but like after summer.
So, FYI, there's a card in Brazil in May, and there's a card in Mexico, hypothetically.
Hmm.
It's what they've got in mind in September.
Dude, that's perfect. I feel
So they've
September.
got the Mexico one in September, or they do a quick turnaround and they do it in May in Figueiredo's hometown, which I mean, we should be right, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I think May's a little too soon, but September I think makes sense because they'll need a little bit of time to heal. It's February now, so say they start training in a month, so that brings you to March. Yeah, I think September makes sense.
Gosh, that's a long time to hold up the division, though. It's very reminiscent of DC and Stipe holding up the heavyweight division for 2 years. Like
Yeah,
that's my only hesitation towards that. What do you think?
but there's you haven't seen a whole lot from this division lately. I feel like this division is slowly building up. Like you got Askarov, you got
Cara
Kai
France.
Car France coming up. Like get those two to fight, build up this division. Like this division slowly creeping up to start becoming a solid division. Like some of these fighters are highly skilled, and I know like we talked off the podcast, but I feel like this division is the most pure mixed martial arts division in the UFC. Just they have everything. They're complete fighters. Their gas tank is endless. Generally, like
Oh yeah.
they can do it all.
Yeah, like for me, I look more of bantam. I think a bantamweight maybe is a bit better. I mean,
Mhm.
it's figure eight. I don't see. I guess I don't see any of the contenders really stepping up and dethrone and beating either Moreno or Figueiredo. I think these guys are in a league of their own in that division.
Yeah, I think the only
Uh,
one is maybe Askarov is he's pretty solid. I think he has
yeah,
quite a bit, he has a lot of good wrestling, so I think that can make a difference against these two. But um, yeah, this division's slowly creeping up. I like to see this division become something.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we move on. Again, congratulations to Davison Figueiredo. Regains his lost flyweight championship via unanimous decision, relying again on a huge knockdown at the end of round three and a clutch knockdown in round five. Congratulations to him. A lot remains to be done in that flyweight championship, in that flyweight division, but we really enjoyed it, and that was a great trilogy fight. We move on. Men's welterweight in a fight that was originally scheduled to occur last weekend. We had Michel Pereira stepping back into the ring against Andre Fialho. Pereira won by unanimous decision. Kyle, you took our boy Michel, so I'm going to let you have the first word here. This is your man. You saw him when he was just a boy in Vancouver with your eyes. What
Yeah,
do you think of his performance this weekend?
I thought he was really good. Yeah, I saw him when he came to Vancouver. I forget what year it was, like 2019 or something like that, somewhere around there. And
Was it just 2019? I feel like that was a while ago, wasn't it?
I feel like it was 2019. Yeah,
Oh,
2019 or
nice. Okay.
2018. Yeah, not too
Excuse
long
me.
ago.
Okay.
It was just before COVID, I think, when COVID first started. But yeah, when I saw him, I didn't really know anything about him, but I saw him live and he started doing all his flips and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, this guy's crazy. And yeah, he's slowly evolving into like a more consistent striker, but man, his flash is hard not to like. And
Oh, no doubt.
he was losing this fight in the first round. Like he was getting pieced up by Fiallo. Fiallo's boxing looked incredible in the first round.
Yeah.
First and second round, his boxing was crisp. His strikes were landing on him, and he was getting through. And it looked like he was almost going to pull away with the fight, but second round, Pereira made adjustments, got a little loose, and he kind of took over the fight in the second round. Then the third round, he basically took over the fight after the second round. So I'm excited to see. Like, I think he just needs to tighten up his game a little bit, maybe be a little less crazy. But I
Yeah.
don't want to be a little less crazy because it's so exciting to watch. So, um, but I think Andre Fiallo, like, you can't take away too much from Fiallo. He looked solid. Like, he's going to be a very good fighter to watch. I think even though he lost, he's going to be definitely one to watch in the UFC in the upcoming year.
I love the way Pereira utilized that front kick to the stomach.
Yeah.
Fiallo just didn't seem to have an answer for it. I mean, it was a beautiful thing to see. What do you think about fighters like slowly incorporating kicks back into their games? We've seen it in the last year. Like, it's very rare that you see a strictly boxers these days.
Yeah, there's a moment in the fight where he kind of clipped him in the lower region, but I think he was more hurt because he got kicked in the stomach. Like it went heel to his like gut basically,
Yeah.
and it kind of clipped his cup a little bit, but like not very much, and he went down and called it a groin hit. But I think he was just taking too many of those front kicks to the stomach, and I think that kick is a definitely underutilized kick. You see some guys doing it quite a bit. Sugar Sean O'Malley is one that's doing it quite a bit. And I think, like, think about it. If you just take like 10 kicks to the gut, like, it's going to hurt you later in the fight. It's going to slow you down. I think it's going to be very similar to the calf kick. The calf kick came on and people used it quite a bit, and it started slowing down a lot of fighters, or even stopping fights with cutting off I don't know what it's called, but it basically cut the, what's it called? Like the nerve to the foot. And then you see it in like the Michael Chandler, sure, happened to Sugar Sean.
Cejudo.
Yeah, Cejudo, like that kind of stuff. But just that kick, that sharp kick to the gut, I think is going to be an interesting kick that you're going to see more often for sure.
I agree, because if you think about it, it's a lot safer than the calf kick too. I mean, we've seen Weidman, we've seen, Silva. Like, if a guy keeps checking with McGregor recently, like, you can't be too reckless, hacking at the calves, especially when somebody's checking them.
For sure.
Like, you can fuck up your leg real quick too, even delivering kicks.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very beautiful performance by Michel Pereira. I believe that's kind of the first time in his career he faced a little bit of adversity like that in the first round. Is that right?
Yeah, he was busted up. I know his last fight he pretty much picked apart the guy and took him
Yeah.
out. But yeah, he definitely fought through some adversity. But even though he's getting pieced up a little bit, you never really saw him break his composure. He kept very composed. Um, he's definitely gonna be one to watch. Like I don't know what he is in the rankings. I'm just gonna quickly take a look at the rankings here.
I think both these guys were unranked going in.
That's
So they're going
surprising
to
that
be
he's, that
releasing
he's
the rankings
unranked.
tomorrow, right?
So I'm assuming he's gonna be ranked after this. I would think maybe in like the 15, like maybe he might go up to 15. But there's
Hmm.
yeah, he's definitely not on there. But I would think they might put him up to 15. And yeah, there's definitely some interesting fights for him to fight in the top like 10 to 15. So I think he's gonna be one to watch. And he almost has a style to obviously I'm not getting ahead of myself, but he has an interesting style to if he went on a run and beat like two or three more guys, like he has an interesting style to challenge Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, I mean, I think a
I know
lot of ifs
I'm
there,
getting
and
ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead of myself, but he has
I
that kind of
mean,
wild style that's unorthodox. That how do you find a training partner to mimic that? Right?
tough,
He's
tough.
very what's it called? Like Michael Venom Page kind of. Like how do you find
Yeah,
someone? How do you find someone to mimic that kind of fighter?
no, exactly. Bouncing off the cage and just
Yeah,
lunging forward with the Superman punches off the cage, like
yeah.
tough, tough. But I still think he needs to develop his game a little bit more. Maybe develop a grappling game, some form of a submission game. You know, like if he wants to seriously make a run, because man, you put him in there with a guy like Chimaev, and I think he's in deep shit.
Yeah. So I think he's gonna be one to watch and see how he does in his next 1 to 2 fights. And yeah,
All right, Kyle. Well, before we move on, why don't you humor us and give us a couple maybe potential next opponents for Michel Pereira going ahead in the welterweight division.
yeah. So I'm just looking at the 10 to 15 here. So you could give him. A fun fight would be. He's at number 14, but Ponzinibbio.
Mm,
That'd be a
I was looking
very
at that one too.
that'd be a very fun fight.
That would be a fun fight. Sign me up.
Um, or even a Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal's more of like a I don't know what you'd call him, more of like a blue collar striker. He's
Yeah.
more crisp with his strikes, less crazy. So see how he does. But Jeff Neal also incorporates kicks where Fahilo didn't really incorporate any kicks. He was more straight boxing. So um, yeah, there's lots of interesting fights between the 10 to 15 rankings.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I love Michel Pereira. Very, very exciting. I think the UFC needs to continue to build him.
Yeah.
Please don't put him in there with a wrestler because it's I can just see that just ruining him.
Yeah. I don't know how
Like,
his
don't
jiu-jitsu.
do him like they did Kevin Holland.
Yeah, I don't know how his jiu-jitsu is, but assuming he has decent jiu-jitsu, so never know.
Why? Because he's Brazilian?
Just saying. I'm not trying to stereotype or anything.
I mean, that's what I figured. All right. Well, Michel Pereira, congratulations to him. He gets the unanimous decision win after a brilliant comeback, after being against it in the first round. So, congratulations to him. We hope to see him back in the ring very soon. He's definitely becoming a Canadian fight show favorite. I'd love to have him on the show one day, maybe when his English gets a little bit better. But we move on. Men's bantamweight division. The returning Saeed Nurmagomedov takes on American GI Joe Cody Stamen. Nurmagomedov winning easily in the first round in a near flawless performance via submission. Kyle again took Nurmagomedov. I don't know what I was thinking with this pick, folks. I swear I'm putting some deep thought into my picks. Kyle, what do you think of Habib's cousin coming back and putting on an outstanding performance for the crowd?
Yeah, you can't count these Nurmagomedovs off. Like it's in the last name. They're just born to do this. Um, I know someone tweeted, I think it was like Bilal Muhammad tweeted or something. He's like, geez, these Nurmagomedovs really know how to fight, and like just being sarcastic and that's funny. But yeah, like what can you say? It was flawless. Like he got him down, subbed him in what? I think during the time here.
Didn't take long.
Yeah, it was like less than what was it? Less than a minute into the fight.
I feel like it was. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was pretty darn
I
close.
think it was like 40 seconds or something into the fight.
Yeah.
But
Oh, it was perfect. I
yeah,
mean, he hit him with a spinning elbow, a spinning kick, took him right into the guillotine.
yeah. His
Like,
and it wasn't a regular guillotine. It was like I forget what the name of it is, but the way he got it in there, he kind of went over his like on the inside more. But yeah, he reminds me very much of what's his name? Zabit. Like
Zabit
his
Magomed Sharipov.
striking,
Yeah.
it's it's scary. These like I know Khabib in the beginning when he started, he wasn't known for his striking, but these guys are starting to like become known for their striking and wrestling. Like, geez, what more can you ask for?
I know, right? Unbelievable. But he did seem like I don't know. I didn't follow Saeed Nurmagomedov very much. I think on the last podcast we called him Habib's brother, but
Pretty close.
close. But it seems like he's more confident in his stand up than his wrestling, which is what kind of surprised me. I think I was listening to the kind of lead up to the fight where they're interviewing most fighters, and he says, "Oh, his best chance to beat me is taking me down because if it stays stand up, I'm going to finish him." And I'm thinking, yeah, like is that's kind of wild. Like it's kind of not what you're used to hearing from a Nurmagomedov. I mean, what you think? What do you think about that?
Yeah, like I don't know, his ground game seemed good to me. Like the way he was able to get that guillotine and like
Hmm.
I think he did like I forgot, I'm just trying to think of the fight. He basically like he like tripped him, right? Kind of, and then got him to the ground and then finished him off. To me, it
Yeah,
looked good,
very
but
smooth.
I don't know. I don't maybe he's comparing himself to Khabib. Maybe Khabib's like the king of wrestling, but um yeah, everything in his game looks solid to me. Short
Hmm.
fight, so I'm curious to see how he does in a little bit longer fight and maybe against some stiffer competition. But Cody Staman's no punk for sure.
Yeah, and he was looking jacked when he came out too. So,
Yeah.
gosh, congratulations to Nurmagomedov, another impressive victory. I mean, gosh, Kyle, do you think in 5 years, just every single champion is just going to be some dude from Dagestan or what?
Sure, looking that way. Yeah,
Sure, looking that way.
they,
It's going to
they,
be neck beards are going to be back in, baby.
yeah, the Canadian fighters aren't looking too hot right now. So
No, we need to get a couple of. We need to get a couple exports. A couple
yeah,
Dagestan guys coming over to Canada. We call them Canadians.
yeah. Maybe we should go drive up to like Nunavut or something. Maybe there's some guys hiding in like the hills of Nunavut that are savages, just like Dagestan.
You just find the Canadian Khabib who is 5 years old wrestling against polar bears and stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
guy can dream, eh?
yeah. That's the next
Well,
spot. That's the next spot. I'm calling it here. Nunavut fighters.
oh my gosh, that would be hilarious. I mean, hey, those are kind of untouched territories. I mean, you never know, right?
True. I heard
But
polar bears are. I heard polar bears are more vicious than regular bears.
oh, let's go. Taking the shots. We're coming for you, Dagestan. But let's talk about what might be next for Nurmagomedov Jr. here in the men's bantamweight division. I mean, again, we spoke about it earlier. Very very loaded decision. I mean, division, I should say. I mean, man, this guy wins a few more fights, and he's just right in the thick of it in this division. So, what are some potential next opponents that we have for Saeed?
Yeah, this division is crazy. Like if you look at like, there's not. I don't think there's any other division. I'm just looking at the divisions. I don't think there's any other division that's this stacked from 1 to 15.
Man,
Like
yeah,
this has to be the most stacked division. Like lightweight's close. Welterweight is pretty close, but this division from 1 to 15 is stacked.
yeah. Like if you
Uh,
look at, say, if you're looking at the rankings 10 to 15, that kind of shows you the depth of a division.
yeah,
I agree. Welterweight is looking really good.
yeah,
But man, you got bantamweight. You got Pedro Munoz, Frankie Edgar, Sean O'Malley, Ricky Simone, Song Yadong, and Rafael Asunciao. Like Edgar's had a rough year, but man, like any one of those fights is a banger.
Yeah, for sure.
So, gosh, I mean, throw me some names. Let's see, just for fun. Let's see who we might think is a good matchup here for Nurmagomedov.
One thing that just comes off the top of my mind right here would be Ricky Simone coming off a good win. He's also a pretty solid wrestler. Like his last fight, I believe, he dominated a lot with his wrestling and stuff like that. So I feel like that'd be a pretty solid matchup to see, or like a good test too. And Ricky Simone is a strong guy too. So I think that would be probably the most interesting fight. Um, I don't think you're going to give him Sean O'Malley. Song Yadong is also a good fight. So maybe one of those two. I think Rafael Assunção is kind of on the decline and coming off, I think, 2 losses. So I don't know if that might be just, I don't know. I don't think that's the greatest fight, but I think I like Ricky Simone versus Nurmagomedov.
Do you think Ricky Simone would consider fighting Said Nurmagomedov just off namesake instead of getting a top 10 opponent like, say, Marlon Moraes?
It's hard to say. I don't think many fighters want to fight like down in rankings, but you never know. Like
Namesake, right?
yeah, and some of these guys coming up, they want to kind of stop the hype, and that's sometimes worth more than fighting someone ahead of you. Like for example, if you went with like Dominic Cruz, like even though Sean O'Malley's lower than him, you might see him want to fight that just to kind of stop the hype. And Sean O'Malley's a big name, even though he's ranked lower. So it does happen in some circumstances.
Agreed. Well, I mean, we hope to see Nurmagomedov in soon. He didn't take any damage this fight, so the quicker they can turn him around, the better. Don't wait 4 months to fight again, dude. Fight again right away. We want to see you in a month. Let's go. Come on.
That'd be the dream.
Jump in the steam, jump in the cold, back in the steam, and let's run it, baby. Get back in there. Come on. But regardless, congratulations to Said Nurmagomedov, again, winner by first round submission via guillotine choke. An amazing victory against Cody Stamans. Flawless performance. Congratulations to him. So that takes us to the first fight on the 270 main card. Michael Morales versus Trevin Gills, with Morales winning by first round TKO. Gills came kind of close to finishing him here at the beginning. This was a good comeback. Kyle, give me your thoughts on this fight. This was a great way to kick off the card.
I'm gonna do a Uno reverse on you, and I'm gonna get your opinion on this first fight.
Oh. Well, I mean, I was amazingly impressed by Morales. I mean, I didn't know much about this kid. 22 years old. I mean, I think he showed. I think that the number one thing that I got this fight was how well composed he was for his age. I mean, he's undefeated. He comes in kind of like his first spot on a big UFC card. Starts the fight by getting absolutely decked and pressured, and is able to stay calm, believe in his abilities, and pounce when he had the chance and finish that fight in the first round. I thought it was an outstanding performance. Definitely rusty. He's 22. He's young. I just hope the UFC takes their time building this guy because they have a potential star in the making here.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Yeah, he got really hurt in the first round there. Like borderline was almost gonna be out of this fight, and yeah, he came back and he was able to stop a tough Trevin Gillis, and yeah, the way he finished him, where he was moving back and kind of went in with a short, I think it was like a short left hand or something like that, and clipped him and put him out. It wasn't even a powerful punch, but it was just like precise. And yeah, this guy definitely has some talent, and he's going to be one to watch for sure. That we'll keep on our radar for upcoming superstars.
No, I agree. If he can learn to speak a little bit of English and the UFC takes their time, man, the sky's the limit for this kid. 22, Kyle. Incredible.
Yeah, for sure.
So that puts a stamp on our UFC 270 main card review. Kyle, did you have any finishing thoughts on the main card, first main card of 2022 for the UFC?
like I said in our last one, UFC is off to a great start. Like two fights in, and it's already more than I can ask for. Like I'm just curious if this year is going to be all the fights are going to be like this. Like this could be work out to be the best fights in UFC history potentially if they keep on this roll and keep on this trajectory. It seems like every card is slowly getting better and better and better, and it's a great time to be a fight fan.
Couldn't agree more. I give it two thumbs up. Phenomenal card. UFC 270 starts with a bang. A lot of urgency is in these younger fighters just wanting to put on a show and wanting to get themselves on the map. Love to see it. So fantastic job. Like you said, we are blessed to start the year off with two phenomenal cards from our favorite promotion. UFC, the Great Canadian Fight Show, we pride ourselves on also discussing some of the prelims and also, more importantly, discussing some rising stars that we want you to watch out for in the next over the next few months as you continue to watch UFC and the fight cards that they treat us with. So we're going to go over our Great Canadian Shining Stars of the night, the ones that we think again are rising stars in the company and showed great promise with their performance in this fight card. So. Kyle, I'm going to let you go first. Hit us with your two great Canadian rising stars of the night.
So my first one, I'm going to go with Jack Della Maddalena. It's a long name, but yeah, this guy's striking. I believe he's pretty hyped up to be kind of the next thing. But man, this guy's striking looked like perfect, like almost as perfect as you can get with striking. Like the way he was able, his jab was like a piston, just
Mm,
like I don't know how many jabs he threw in this fight. It only was one round, but honestly, he probably threw like 100 jabs.
mm.
Like it was just on point. Within the first like minute, the guy's nose was already all busted up, and his striking was just too good almost.
Did you see some similarities? I know it's kind of like wild to say the similarities. I might get some hate for this, but did you see some similarities to this fight compared to when McGregor fought Alvarez?
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
Like with it seemed like every punch was thrown with some kind of a purpose.
Yeah,
And like you said, I mean, you're watching this, and next thing you know, like the guy's face looks like he was hit by a frying pan. I mean, it
yeah,
was unreal, and he was busted up, and after taking a handful of jabs.
yeah. It didn't like yeah. The comparison is pretty similar. Like it didn't look like he was doing that much, but yeah, a minute in, you could tell he was just hurting him like left and right with every single punch he threw. And yeah, every punch served a purpose.
Oh, agreed, and the finish too, like the way that he waited half a second, and then just went in, boom, with
Yeah.
just one, instead of doing the traditional like lunge and you know hammer fist and stuff like that. Like his finish for me was a telling sign that this guy's the truth.
Yeah. The thing I think he did the best was getting out of range. Like he was able
Hmm.
to land his shot and kind of move just out of the way.
Yeah.
Not moving like way back, but just enough to get out of the shot and then go back in, go back out, go back in. And he
Mm.
was just able to do that over and over and over. And yeah, he is definitely going to be one to watch. He's 11-2. He fought a guy that was 4-1. Like Rodriguez looked promising, but he pieced him up pretty easily.
Agreed. I mean, can't take anything away from Pete Rodriguez. I mean, he was a undefeated fighter. There's a certain kind of confidence and mentality that comes with never having lost.
Yeah.
And man, Della Manilova made it look easy, jumping back and forth between orthodox and southpaw. We love to see that. Quick question for you. I did a little bit of research on Della Badaladova, and I realized that he actually started his MMA career 0-2 before banging out 11 straight wins. What do you think is a more kind of ideal trajectory for a fighter? Do you get those losses done early in the career and then go on a run, or do you go the route of boxing and do you stay undefeated and do you keep that kind of crazy confidence that comes with never having lost? Like, which one do you think is more important in your opinion?
Um, I mean, if you're that confident and you can go on a run where you're like 30-0 or 40-0, then man, you're the truth. But I think the losses are important. I think the losses define fighters more than the wins.
Mhm.
The lessons they learn from those losses, I think, are super important and super crucial. So I think having a few losses in the beginning isn't the end of the world. Not everyone's like a Khabib or like or a Floyd Mayweather.
Right.
Those are anomalies that don't happen that often. But it depends how you bounce back from the losses. I think that define the fighter.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, Islam Makhachev, early loss in his career before going on a massive run. Kamaru Usman, early loss in his career before going on a massive run. Rocky Edwards, early loss in his career before going on a run. GSP. I
Yeah,
mean, the top guys have lost, and some can argue that if Floyd Mayweather was in a league like the UFC as opposed to being a self promoter, that he might have run into an L as well. So,
yeah. I think the
uh,
sting. I think the sting from a loss again really defines how they move forward. And
yeah,
some fighters like yeah, like you said, like GSP and Usman, they just can't stand that sting of that loss. That it
mhm.
just makes them into a way better fighter.
Agree. So, Jack Della Medalova winning Kyle's first Rising Star of the night. Who gets the second, Kyle?
I'll let you pick the second one on here.
Okay, well, I'm going to go a little bit off board. For those of you who tuned in for the very first fight of the prelims, Matt Frivola, UFC lightweight, a beautiful performance in his fight, wins via first round KO. This guy, I was very impressed with his aggression and his whole performance. I mean, he came out and just wanted to put on a show for the fans, and he came out swinging, beating an undefeated fighter, 11-0. Again, we talk about the how tough it is to beat someone who's never lost. He trains with Matt Serra and Chris Weidman, Aljamain Sterling. He's in that gym, which I love. I think is great. But again, I was very impressed with Matt Frivola. Do think he's got a long way to go, but I love these guys that come in on the prelims and take a risk. And so I'm very excited to see Matt Frivola fight again, hopefully soon, because that was a quick fight. And so he's my first great Canadian rising star of the night.
Yeah, I agree. This started off the prelims really well. Um, they were both throwing down in this fight, like they were
Yeah,
going off. Like he hurt him, but then Valdez had no quit in him, and he was just throwing back. But
yeah.
unfortunately, Valdez took the worst of the exchanges. And one thing about this fight, props to the ref. The ref let it keep going.
Oh
I
my
like
God,
that.
yes.
It was perfect. Like don't get me wrong, he was hurt. Like they could have probably stopped it, but I like that they let it go a little bit longer, gave him a chance because he was trying to get up, he was trying to keep fighting. I don't feel like you can stop a fighter if he's still in it and he's still wanting to get up. And as he was getting up, he was swinging back, and I think it was a good call by the ref in this fight. But like you said, Matt Farrell looked really good in this fight, and I'm very curious to see some of his fights in the future.
As do I. So that takes us to our second great Canadian rising star of the night. Just want to throw it out there. These are in no particular order. It doesn't mean that the first one is better than the second one. It's just two individuals that we both thought you should keep your eye on future cards because they may appear on the main card of fight nights, perhaps coming up in the future.
Yeah.
So Kyle, let me know your second rising star of the night.
My second, I'm gonna go with um, huh, I was debating between the two of them here, but I'm gonna go with Michael Morales. I'm gonna change my pick up a little bit. I just think he's too young. He's too good. Um, he's able to. I know a lot of the young fighters when they hit that adversity, they kind of crumble and they maybe the fight ends and they kind of give up. But he was able to weather the storm, get through the fight, and take out a tough Trevor Gillis in this fight. So I think he's my second pick for Rising Star, especially in the welterweight division that's so stacked.
Mm-hmm.
Already has so much talent. I'm very curious to see how he does in the future and if he can stay on this trajectory of 13-0. See if he can keep doing it. And he can be one of these anomalies that just go like 20-0 and never lose.
Outstanding. Love to see it. I mean, again, I just want to emphasize the fact he's 22 years old. It's pretty rare that you see UFC athletes that young. A lot of them are coming over late in their careers for their last maybe 2, 3 runs. Very, very impressive. Great pick, Kyle. Michael Morales, fantastic. For my second pick, it was a toss-up again. Very tempted to go with, again, Jack Della Maddalena because we spoke about him earlier. He looked phenomenal tonight. But my second pick for Rising Star of the Night goes to Victor Henry. A fight that was, again, an outstanding fight. Henry versus Barcelos on the prelims. If you didn't watch it, highly, highly, highly recommend it. He came in as a Vegas 350 underdog. Barcelos was a Vegas minus 500 favorite. Heavy, heavy favorite. And Victor Henry came in and absolutely dominated. Took the fight on short notice and came in and absolutely dominated. Man bun staying in tight the whole time. He was slick. He was out there dancing. Had a little bit of Ali shuffle going on as he was grooving in the middle of the ring. I mean, this was a fantastic performance. I mean, I didn't know this before, and it seems like Barcelos did have a little bit of bad luck with COVID coming in. But this guy has a victory over Said Nurmagomedov, who looked like a world beater on Saturday night. You could give it the benefit of the doubt because he did accept Henry as a late substitute, but fantastic, appearance performance, I should say, by Victor Henry. And I just want to finish by saying his post-fight interview by Joe Rogan, hilarious. I mean, I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end, it's like he turns to Joe Rogan and he starts telling him, and he's talking to him like this, like in front of the whole crowd, like telling him about the first time he met. And Joe's just kind of holding the mic, like, yeah, wrap it up, buddy, wrap it up. Like, just a hilarious, starstruck moment. I mean, you love to see it. This guy he came out of nowhere, very, very relatable. And I'm just looking forward to seeing Victor Henry back in the ring against another stiff test.
Yeah, for sure. And he's got a good coach in his corner. He's got Josh Barnett in his corner. So that's I think that could be a part of his why he's so good.
Absolutely. So, shining stars of the night, you have them. That takes us to the big one. Great Canadian picks for fight of the night. Kyle Allen, couple to choose from here. Which one did you end up picking?
After rewatching this one, I know we were just talking about it, but I'm going to go with Victor Henry and Barcelos. I think that fight was just it was a very overall very good fight. It wasn't like a dominant fight or a super dominant fight. Like Victor Henry definitely won the first round. Barcelos came back a bit in the second round. He probably won the second round. And then Henry was able to kind of tough it out and do more than Morales in the second round, damage him more and pull off the win. I think it was if you want to watch a solid mixed martial arts fight, I think this is one to watch for sure.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, folks, again, do not overlook the prelims. I mean, this is a card that had Figueiredo Moreno, Pereira versus Joao, which was a great fight. We ended up picking the fight on the prelims. I mean, watch the prelims. There are some gems here. I mean, there were some phenomenal fights on this prelims. I mean, gosh. I mean, this is an eye-opener for you that the UFC has hidden gems down there. I mean, I really hope the UFC, keeps stacking up the prelims cards, gets people tuning in. I mean, what do you think of the way they've really seemed to have developed some great matchups in the prelims over the past year and a half?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be honest. Like probably a year ago, I wouldn't really watch the prelims too much, but
neither would I. Yeah, neither would I.
I'm glad I started watching them more, and even if I don't catch them the night of, if I don't have time or something like that, I'll definitely make it a priority to go back and rewatch the prelims because
absolutely
a lot of the solid fights are on the prelims, and this is where you see all the good up and coming fighters, all the new talent in the UFC. They put them in here, and you get to watch them here first. Like there was a time where Conor McGregor fought in the prelims. I'm pretty sure at least once, and there could be more Conor McGregors to come watching these prelims.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, a lot of these guys, they want to take risks and they want to impress the boss and they want to come out and and go for it and deliver good performances. They're not as conservative sometimes as these guys fighting on the main card. So
Hmm.
give these guys some love. Great Canadian pick, fight of the night. Henry versus Barcelos, a phenomenal fight in the prelims. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. This one was a banger. So that puts a bow on the UFC 270 review show. Again, a phenomenal card, the first UFC fight card of the year. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. We got a little bit of a break now over the next few weeks, but we will be back next week to preview the upcoming Adesanya Whitaker fight card, and of course touch on a few different topics that are intriguing us in the world of MMA. Before we kind of say our goodbyes, Kyle, do you have any finishing points on UFC 270?
Um, yeah, this it wasn't what like if you look at this card on paper, you kind of be like, oh, I think I know how this is going to go. This is how it's going to go. But a lot of these fights didn't go the way that anyone thought they would go. So um, it's such a fun. It's so fun to be a fight fan, and you never really know what's going to happen. Like you can guess all you want, but no one saw Francis Ngannou couldn't wrestle Cyril Gane. Most people would have thought that Cyril Gane was going to probably piece up Francis Ngannou, or Francis Ngannou was going to KO Cyril Gane.
Right.
But yeah, you never know what to expect, and that's what I love so much about UFC and MMA that no other sport can really give you.
Couldn't agree more. We love UFC, we love MMA, and we were grateful for a beautiful and very entertaining UFC 270. That puts a wrap on episode 10, Great Canadian Fight Show. Again, it's been a pleasure talking MMA with you, Kyle. We are grateful for all our viewers. Again, if you like what we're doing, like and subscribe, tune in, give us your feedback in the comments. We're a growing program. I mean, we're growing, we're evolving by the day, getting better by the day. We appreciate any comments, any feedback that you might have. And again, we thank you all for tuning in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're a growing YouTube channel up there, so hit the subscribe button and show us some love, and we're definitely going to keep putting out more content.